Except for the physiological factors, we want them to be released from their parentage. This is the purpose. The entire Eastern cultures were focused on this, now it's all messed up, people have forgotten this. Never mixing it up, never doing anything which will disturb the track so that the progeny comes out well. And not only that, you can create a certain energy which travels through the track. Everybody in your Kula need not go to the temple. You go and pray, everybody benefits because all of us is connected. Right now, this will happen, the future of medical science is this. Americans have this kind of DNA, they are prone to something else, aren't they saying this? So if you just add one supplement into the Asian diet or into the American diet or into the European diet, you can change the way people live. This has happened.
During marriage, they match Kundalis and they say there are a lot of doshas in a girl and she has to be married to a tree. There is the, Ardhakala Sarpa dosha and all of that. Is it required to match the Kundalis?
What I'm saying is, there is… the potentiality of being human is just this. As I said, every creature has captured a certain amount of consciousness, but what they capture is not significant enough to become conscious of our consciousness, where we can begin to expand this. Other creatures also conscious, but they cannot expand this. So the reason why an individual human being may feel trapped in their own limited ways is simply because they're super identified with their memory. So one of the first steps in yoga is always this, that you start identifying with your ignorance, never with your knowledge. Because your knowledge, it doesn't matter how vast it is a minuscule in this cosmos. But our ignorance is boundless.
Correct. That's right. That's for sure.
So to blow the maximum bubble that you want, first and foremost thing is you do not identify with your knowledge. That means you do not identify with your accumulated memory. Accumulated memory on a superficial level may be just what I learned, but on a deeper level, it is my genetics, it is my evolutionary memory, it is all the different dimensions of memory. So one fundamental thing we do, which is something which would be very interesting for the doctors like you to study is, we do certain things with people so they become free from their genetic memory as far as possible. Except for the physiological factors, we want them to be released from their parentage. This is the purpose. The entire Eastern cultures were focused on this, now it's all messed up, people have forgotten this. Otherwise, one thing is, we are always seeing how to distance ourselves from the genetic memory, because we saw that if you're identified with your genetic memory, you will just be a replay of your parents' life. You will not be a fresh life. If you want to be a genuinely fresh possibility, you have to distance yourself. There are many types of processes through which we distance ourselves from genetic memory. You must see this, it's so dramatic in the sense, in 24 hours' time, the human being changes completely, the very way they think, feel, understand and perceive life. With some of them, even their facial features will change. Suddenly they look different within 24 hours' time. The change is so dramatic.
So what do you do?
Like him, I also de-link. For a different purpose, but it's in a way alienating from the genetic memory so that your functionality is not limited to your genetics, that you are not a copy of the parents who produced you. Yes, they've given you a body, they've nurtured you to a certain adulthood, after that their business is done. Now your business is to become a totally new potential of life. That's what it is. But this will not happen, you will see this happening with people. When they were 16, 18, they're very rebellious about how they want to be. But you watch the same people after they're 45, they're behaving just like their parents. They walk like them, sit like them, talk like them, everything coming back, catching up with them. Because the genetic memory overpowers the initial desire and exuberance of youth. Once it begins to recede, you will see you start behaving just like your parents. Because the genetic memory overpowers you. So one of the first fundamental things that if one is striving towards becoming more conscious is to distance yourself from your genetic memory. If that doesn't happen, the power of this memory is not simple. To put it very simply, in today's world it's easy to explain because it's your software. It's not the brand of the computer that you're using which decides what happens on the screen. It's your software. What is the software? That's how it functions. So your memory is software. You have a certain kind of software, unless you disengage with that, nothing new will happen. You try whichever way you want, the same things will happen. Over and over again, the same things will happen. When same things happen, slowly, this is not a conscious process, but it's happened to nearly 98% of the human population. If I saw you when you were 5, 6 years of age, your face was like this, somebody had to poke you with a pin to make you unhappy. Now somebody has to make you happy. It's a real task. Because the exuberance of life has sank because of the repetitiveness of memory. The same things are happening, you may not be conscious of it, but the same things are happening. When same things are happening within you, slowly you lose all your exuberance. Only if something new is happening. Now people think something new means they must fall in love, they must take up a new job. That's not it. Something new needs to happen within you, in the very mechanics of who you are. If something new is happening all the time, you will be exuberant. Otherwise, without knowing why, slowly your face has become grave. Your face has become grave means you're practicing the posture for the grave. That's what it means.
Namaskara, Guruji. My name is Archana. I have a question regarding astrology. During marriage, they match Kundalis. And they say there are a lot of doshas in a girl and she has to be married to a tree, there is Kumbha dosha…
That's a good partner.
There is the, Ardhakala Sarpa dosha and all of that. Is it required to match the Kundalis? And what is this all about Gotra? I want to know.
Oh, I don't know about the Kundali, but marrying a tree is a good idea. Such a stable husband.
No, they advise it to cut it later. That's the problem.
Actually, I'm offering something better. I can get you married to a mountain. Always there, for you. Never messes with you, always there. Ideal man, isn't it? So, we're making too much fuss about two human beings coming together. After all, two human beings want to come together because there are needs, all right? There are physical needs, there are psychological needs, there are emotional needs, social, financial and other kinds of needs. To fulfill all this in a graceful manner, we make some arrangements so that we can fulfill these things gracefully. Because our needs are not any different from the needs of every other animal on the planet, same need. Only thing is, because we have a certain level of intelligence and sensitivity, we want to conduct that gracefully. That's what marriage is, right? Hello? People say it's made in heaven, that's why I think it fails. Because fundamentally, for two people to come together, it's very easy to match the stars, they can fix all those things, But matching these two idiots, nobody knows how to do. Unless you enter this engagement with this intent that somehow, I must give the best to the person who is sitting next to me right now. If you don't enter an engagement or any relationship with that, obviously it'll become frictious. If you're looking at how to squeeze joy out of somebody, well, initially it'll all be nice, it'll look romantic. After some time, it'll be a disaster. Not because stars are clashing, simply because you're trying to squeeze happiness or joy out of somebody and they're trying to squeeze it out of you, inevitably it'll become a conflict after some time. If you're seeing how to absolutely give myself to the other person, and if that person also is doing that, then it becomes a wonderful relationship. If only you are doing that and the other person is not so much so, still your life will be good, his life will be messy. Yes. Because, see, can I tell you a joke? It's okay, it's a serious question, but once happened, Shankaran Pillai was in the university. So, he went to his professor one day and said, "Sir, I need your help on something very important." The professor said, "Of course, I'm here for that purpose, please tell me what you want." So then he mentioned the college beauty's name, maybe you, and said, "Sir, I am absolutely in love with her and I'm 50% successful, I need your help." The professor said, "See, I'm here to help you on academic aspects, not these kind of things. But anyway, what do you mean by saying you're 50% successful?" He said, "Sir, I'm totally in love with her, but she doesn't know. That other 50% I want you to fix for me." So even if it's 50%, when you are in love, it feels wonderful for you. It's actually better the other person doesn't know, because now it's completely yours, both sides you can manage. Because human beings they go up and down. So, to match two people, do you have to twist the planets and stars and everything? Absolutely no. It is just that we are making very big fuss about it. About the Gotra you said, this was a simple way, a traditional way of managing genetic purity for breeding, because marriage is about breeding in the end, all right? You and me are here because somebody did breed, isn't it? So, maintaining genetic purity so that those who considered in some way brother and sister does not come in marriage together, they had an elaborate system, but that system is all messed up, nobody knows who is who now. In a few communities, a little bit remnants may be left, largely we don't know who is who. There are genetic studies, if you have it done, unfortunately you will see there is some… just now somebody was telling me in a shocking way in Bangalore, they said, "Sadhguru, it seems I have some Romanian blood in me." I said, "Don't tell me how it happened, but So, we don't know, after thousands of years, what has happened, it doesn't matter anymore. But in a closed society, where people have lived very closely, it's important to maintain this, because when everybody else thinks the man that you're marrying is your brother, it'll become very difficult to live there. You are somewhere far away, you don't know, from somewhere else through 25 generations, you may end up marrying your brother. But you don't know and it's too far away. But in a closed society, it matters. It's better to respect that if it's a very close society. But if you've moved out, you're in big cities, these things don't really matter. But in villages, it still matters because everybody knows everybody and it becomes troublesome socially. So you marry who you want. Because if you marry somebody that you don't want, you will make your life miserable and unfortunately that life also miserable. I'm trying to save the man. These things were very significantly relevant when deities were created in a certain way. When I say deities were created in a certain way, so all this has become one big hodgepodge. It become one big hodgepodge because the culture was created understanding the phenomenal complexity of life. But the instruments and the institutions which were to transmit this from generation to generation got seriously disturbed in the last 1800 years because of invasions and things like that. Otherwise, this is a very sophisticated science. Not everybody went to every temple at one time. There were some temples which were for general well-being where everybody went. But for specific purposes, people went only to their Kula Daivam. Even today, remnants of that are there, people are going, but the Daivam may not be created anymore, understanding the science. So why the Kula Daivam is, today, even if somebody died 100 years ago, they can dig up something and if they found one tiny little bone, they can take it, go to the laboratory, check the DNA, check your DNA and say, this was your grandfather. Yes or no? Even if somebody died 10,000 years ago, if they find a remnant of something, today you can take the mummies in Egypt, which are over 4,000 years old, you can take the DNA of this mummy and trace it down to somebody in Egypt who is right now protesting on the street, that this was Tutankhamun's progeny. Possible, yes? The science gives you this access. So similarly, we identified, you must understand this is relevant only when everything else was maintained. You know, there's a whole lot of struggle going on in Haryana about the Kap panchayats, saying that these cousin brothers and cousin sisters should not marry, this is sacrilege. See, I do not know whether they're aware of why they're protesting. But if they're truly aware, you have to respect it. They may be just protesting because you're breaking the norm. But essentially why this was done is, they maintained the genetic track way back. For thousands of years, they maintained the genetic track in their own way. Never mixing it up, never doing anything which will disturb the track so that the progeny comes out well. And not only that, you can create a certain energy which travels through the track. Everybody in your Kula need not go to the temple. You go and pray, everybody benefits because all of us is connected. Right now, this will happen. The future of medical science is this, that if they find some pure genetic material, when we say a pure line of genetics, they can do it like this, that they can find something that works for your DNA, just spray it in the air. All the people who have that type of DNA will benefit instantly. Right now they're saying Asians have this kind of DNA and they are more prone to diabetes. Americans have this kind of DNA, they are prone to something else. Aren't they saying this? So if you just add one supplement into the Asian diet or into the American diet or into the European diet, you can change the way people live. This has happened. These things have happened in United States, that they have added certain this thing to as a part of their bread making and everything. Lot of ailments that they were suffering in 40s and 50s are gone in that country because people have that kind of DNA and they're being treated in a certain way unknowingly. The current generation do not even know about it, but it's a part of their bread making, they're taking in certain things and certain things are settled. For example, in 50s, United States has a huge number of cases of diabetes, which India is facing right now. So D3 as a vitamin, they found if you add D3 to those people's diet, their diabetes will go away. They added D3 to the bread making, there's hardly any diabetes in the United States. Now it's coming to us, but we eat D3, it will not work the same way for the Asian genetics. We need to find something else. We can tell you what you need to eat. So, they understood this and they maintained this genetic line so strictly and they established an energy source for this particular DNA, for this particular kind of genetic trend. And when they go there, they are not telling some god up there, they are just registering. This is me, I belong to this line, this is my Gotra, this is my Nakshatra, this is my Kula. Means I am registering my DNA material, I am saying, this is my DNA, do something to me. It is the most scientific way of handling it. Science gone bad, technology not transferred properly. Today it's all mixed up, so it will not work the same way. If they had maintained those genetic lines, you could make it work like that. But now you fall in love with the girl next door, she could be anything. Your choices have become more important than maintaining those kind of things. I mean, society has changed, so those things have become irrelevant. But when things were maintained like that, it was a very relevant thing. It is a wonderful understanding of life, a fabulous understanding of genetics and how it functions.